Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode on the Mums on Cloud Nine's podcast. The topic for today is all about how do we get people to listen to us? Now, this might resonate with some of you, particularly with your kids. Why don't my kids listen to me and do what I want? That would be my first thought. It might be your partner. Maybe your partner doesn't quite do things that you ask them to do, or it might be at work. This can show up in all areas of your life. So today we're going to tackle this and we're going to come up with some new strategies. And I'm delighted to have Ruth Kudzi here, who's going to be the expert for all of this and help us solve this problem. So Ruth, welcome to the show. Ruth is the CEO and founder of Optimus Coach Academy. I'm delighted to have her here today. I've known Ruth for many years and she's supported me in many ways for my business and coaching skills as well. So Ruth, welcome to the show. Do you want to just unpack some of this for us and tell people a little bit more about your background and what it is that you do?
Of course. Okay, so I'm Ruth Kudzi and I run a training business. So we train people in coaching skills and to become certified and accredited coaches. And a really big part of that is about listening. And many of us don't listen that well because, especially in today's world, we have so many different things. So coaching skills are not only for coaches, they are actually for everyone, and leaders and managers especially. And as we're going into the next iteration of the world with AI, coaching skills are even more essential to help us to build more effective relationships. So I think it really comes down to relationships and feeling valued and valuable. And I think that all of us want to be listened to, don't we?
Definitely, definitely. And I think when I learned coaching skills, I was like, gosh, everybody needs these skills. Like, this should be taught at school. And that's why I set up a coaching business. Because I was like, we need to have these things in our toolbox. So I think what you do, Ruth, is great because you help just equip people with coaching skills in their day-to-day lives, as well as obviously give them more formal accreditations if they want to be a coach as well. And I think, people can benefit from that because they might not want to be a fully fledged coach. But the reality is we need these coaching skills in our life to every degree. So obviously you can share a little bit more about that as we go along. But going back to this point around listening, I think what you said, obviously we don't listen well enough, but also people don't listen to us. So what is it? Why is that the case?
I mean, often people may not listen to you because they may not feel valued by you. So our brain is always looking at, are we valued or aren't we valued? So first of all, they might not be feeling valued by you. You might not have created that environment of trust and safety where they actually feel like this person has got my back. And if that is the case, then they are going to be in a threat state in their nervous system. So they're not going to be able to listen as effectively. And actually, relationally, it's not going to be as good. But equally, they may well be distracted. So we know that we have so many distractions in today's world, alerts, Slack, social media, but equally outside those external distractions, they're playing their own script and they're playing their own narrative. So they may well be not engaged with you because they are engaging internally with something else that is going on for them. So we often make it about us, but often there's more than that. And if the relationship isn't there, you're already on pretty shaky foundations. But even if the relationship is there, we feel that people often don't listen to us or often don't understand us. I mean, how often do you feel that people aren't listening?
It's a really interesting question, isn't it? Because my partner will say, like, if I finish work at 4 or 5 and then he comes in and he's rattling off all this stuff and he's like, "Are you listening?" And I'm like, my head is like trying to process everything that day.
Mm.
So I think the thing that sort of stands out for me is I say to him, I've just got to go and like decompress. I've got to go and swim, like exercise. And then I'm like, over dinner, I'm like, okay, tell me everything. Like, so I think it's, for me, that whole listening piece is, am I present and showing up? Is my mindset in the right place to have that conversation? Because I actually want to feel like I'm listening to him. It's being aware of our own, what's going on for us and whether we're able to just be present in that moment as well. And I think the same with the kids can say, "Oh, you're not listening, mum," or "They're not listening to me." And it's actually, well, are they doing something else? And how do I get their attention and, have that one-on-one with them where actually you're having a meaningful conversation. And quite often, I think I've talked about this on other podcasts, but at night time in bed, when I'm putting into bed, it's really when I get the meaningful conversations with them because there isn't any of the distractions. So I think there are a couple of reflections of where this can show up for sure.
Yeah, it's about, And it's also about the listening cues, isn't it? Because a lot of us expect, like when we grew up, we were told, look at someone when they're speaking to you, you have to give them your full attention. But we now know that everyone's brain isn't the same. So actually, sometimes we perceive that someone's not listening to us because maybe they're not looking at us they're not looking at us in, they're not giving us eye contact. Sorry. They're not giving us eye contact. And therefore we make all these assumptions that they're not listening. And even yesterday, my husband was telling me and my youngest daughter a story, and we're both fiddling. And he's like, look at me when I'm speaking. And we're both listening, and we could both tell him exactly what he'd said. But obviously he was looking out for a specific cue. So again, that can get in the way of listening and feeling like you're being heard as well.
See, I have two sides of this. Now, for me, I don't think I'm the best listener because I will listen intently when I'm interested in the topic. My fear is if I'm not interested, I can be distracted very easily. And if oh gosh, it's difficult for me. But at the same time, I get very upset when I'm talking to somebody and I know that they're counting the gap to jump in and talk, and they're not actually absorbing what I'm saying. So it is kind of a two-way street. But I can sense it when someone's waiting.
And I think, as you both said, I mean, as all of you have said, you do work to a script. And I think every single individual, I'm definitely one that has everything planned out for what I'm going to say when you finish that sentence. So sometimes I'm not intently listening at what you're saying because I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next.
I do that as well.
Yeah, I know. And I think for me, I remember listening to myself on a conversation once on a phone call, and I listened back to it and I thought, I need to stop that. I need to let them finish before I start talking. So it's quite a good thing to listen to yourself. Absolutely. So how can coaching support listening is a great question.
It's a brilliant question.
Yeah.
And I think in a way you've kind of reflected that as well. It's that awareness. Again, in some situations, we might be even more like running that script, like, what are we going to say next? What are we going to say next? And it's kind of that we have those internal and external distractions that I said before that are going on that actually interfere with listening because they activate our nervous system. They actually act as barriers between us and the other person. So first of all, it's about helping you to understand yourself better. So maybe supporting you to understand your behaviors and those blockers to listening, which is often about, maybe we're not feeling confident, maybe we're a bit insecure, maybe we've had a really hard day and we just need to unwind. So it's about knowing how what you need to be fully present. But when we're not able to be present, that's when we start to have those distractions. And there's a thing called level 1, level 2, and level 3 listening. And level 3 listening is when we're listening to what isn't being said. So there's some curiosity. But to get to that, we need to be okay to be in that space of not knowing what we're going to say next. And we need to be okay to be in that space where we're able to have silence. So it takes courage and patience to get there. But that's one of the ways that coaching skills can help.
Yeah, and I think as well, you can zone out, as Kelly said, when someone, hasn't got the right body language for you. So you're talking to someone, and if they look distracted, like you said you and your daughter were when your husband was talking to you, I think that sometimes can zone you out of listening because you're not listening because you've got other things to do, and vice versa. So I think it's important for you to both to be in the moment, for you to have a conversation and both of you to listen.
Definitely.
I did a test today, and it's really convenient that we're here today together, but it said that listening was my worst skill. But I'm better with my hands, problem solving and all those other sorts of hands-on things. But I was like, oh, that's interesting. But I also realized that if someone's asking me for something or asking me to do something or telling me information, I'm like, can you please give it to me in an email or put it on a document so I can look at it? So how do we really kind of improve those listening skills so that we kind of understand what people want without me having to ask someone to write it down or give me an image for it?
I mean, it's a really interesting one because I think part of this is being able to see things from different perspectives. And again, we often go into conversations, we're mind reading, aren't we? We're thinking we know what's going to happen. So that means that we're not completely zoned in. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I say is really being present with the person in front of you and being curious and starting to test that. I wonder what is actually going on. And if we're not sure, asking, getting them to verify, reconfirming, so actually we're really staying in that presence. So all of us can develop our listening, but I think the first thing is being present. I mean, getting rid of our phones, I would say, is probably essential there. Like, we're so used to them, aren't we? But also being curious and asking questions based on what they're saying. So those are really simple things that we can all do that will help us. So yeah, engagement, presence, and I'm going to keep saying distractions. Distractions are like the opposite to what we want.
That's a good cue. Well, Kelly told me to put my phone on airplane mode before this, so absolutely already on that. I'm like ticking one box already. So I'm going to do that more often. Why don't I do that? So that it's good to be practical about this. So if we were talking about the parenting situations, like my kids don't listen to me situation, particularly one of them who's got more ADHD and was always bouncing and doesn't listen, what are some of the coaching skills that you could use in that situation to kind of engage with her and support that, Ruth?
I mean, first of all, considering where they do listen to you. So you've already said to me earlier, at night, you can have those really great conversations. So that could be a starting point to say, sometimes I notice during the day when I'm wanting to speak to you, it doesn't feel that you're listening to me. What would help you to know that it's a conversation that we need to have? So actually asking her, thinking about how you can get her into spaces where, so maybe it's like, okay, let's go into the garden, or let's move the environment to somewhere where you don't have as many distractions. But asking really open questions and checking in with her. Again, sometimes we're very easy, aren't we, to say like, you're not listening to me, and then we get annoyed, and then it just like the levels of arousal and everything go up and up and up. So just like, what do you need right now? What would you like from me? And kind of going in very much more focused on them can usually work. I'm saying usually, it doesn't always with my kids, but yeah, finding our spaces, picking our moments and giving them our undivided attention. So they know that this is their space, usually can help to build. And also, recognizing that the way that she listens may be different. And so you can maybe do a couple of little tests that when you're thinking she's not listening, just say, what do you think I just said then? And then you can see, like, is she really not listening? Like, is she completely not in the zone? Or is she listening, but maybe she's not looking at you. Maybe she's playing with something. Maybe she's doing something else, but actually she's really tuned into you. There's that curiosity piece there as well.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Going back to that first point you said about building the value and trust, like those open-ended questions and zoning on them. And then once you've got their attention from that point of view, then sort of going back with what you're, wanting to sort of grasp with the conversation and, move it on.
Yeah.
To get to the point of the goal.
Yeah. I mean, coming back to our goal.
Yeah. Still needed to go and have a bath, right?
Exactly.
A week.
And I suppose from my side, I mean, just switching that up a little bit. Obviously, Heather's asked you the question about, family life, children, how you, get them to listen. But, when we talk about Kelly saying that she zones out when we talk to her.
No, not you.
Kelly's before said, "Can you stop looking at your phone?" I'm like, okay, but
focus on me.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand as well as in your family life. How would you be suggesting that people ensure that people are listening to them within the workplace?
I think, again, it's choosing your moments, right?
Yeah.
Understanding. So equally in understanding that person's communication preferences. So again, if you have an important message to deliver and that person, likes time to process first, let them know, look, I really want to talk to you about XYZ. When would be best for you?
Preempt it.
Yeah, as much as possible. If people feel like they've got autonomy,
yeah,
we're going to listen. If people don't have a lot of so if people have got a lot going on, sometimes they're going to be distracted. So again, thinking about what time of day. potentially for some people, thinking about their workload, letting them know it's important, and also showing that you're listening to them. This is like the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking that you want to be listened to, ask people about them first. And then you're building that trust. So it's, and I want you to test this. Like if you imagine, or if you think about a situation where you've asked someone about themselves first, they're so much more likely to listen to you, because again, it's, I can never say as well, it's like the law of why can't I say
reciprocity? Oh, wait a minute.
yeah, I can't say that word, but we know what it is. That, yeah, but also it's showing that you're in, like, it's going back that relatedness, that value, and being valuable.
Yeah, I think that you're so right there. I think that's so important to make sure that you get them engaged, because once they're engaged, then they're listening to you, and you can have the conversation better. Yeah, great advice.
When we have our team meetings, I know we started off today about we're having a social chat, and just that kind of element of building that rather than going straight into work meetings. Because like, right, come on, it's all right, we've got to crack on now. But and we all do that. The thing is, we don't, when we work virtually, is that. But I think it really reflects on Ruth's point. That importance of perhaps just having a quick social chat, and building that helps then start a conversation, doesn't it? And you're focused there, because you can't make that up. You've got no pre-agenda with a social chat. So I think
Yeah,
it's
of
really,
course. And plus, you're alone all day long as well. So it's nice to just have a little bit of a normal conversation, not just about spreadsheets all day long. So,
yeah.
so how does coaching really benefit leaders, and what does it give to leaders?
So coaching helps people to actually stop thinking that they need all of the answers, and to listen to others to get more creative ideas. It actually means that you are able to help others find their own solutions. You're able to help build autonomy. You're able to really understand people on a deeper level, because often we make assumptions. We think, oh, that person hasn't done X because. But what about being curious? What's going on for you here? What do you need? What are your thoughts? So it really allows the person to express what is going on for them. And then we're able to lead more effectively. Then we're able to understand them as a person, because we're all individuals. There's some people really detailed processes. Other people like to go and figure it out on their own. And if we are able to tailor our approach based on people's preferences, they're going to be happier. So it helps you. I always say that coaching helps you do less as a leader, because it means that the people that you are leading are going to be taking more responsibility.
I need this.
And have more autonomy. So rather than going into meetings, and this is when I really thought, oh my gosh, I need to do something with this. I used to be a senior leader, and I used to go into meetings and tell people what to do. And so that was great. Okay. So I had some people who were brilliant. So, go back the next week, they've done it. But I had some people who basically didn't do anything. And I thought, this is just really painful, because I'm telling them what to do. They're not doing it. They resent me. I resent them. We're not going to get anywhere. We're week 3. Like, I'm feeling that maybe the feelings are stronger than resentment. What about if I ask them? Because again, when I'm asking them, I'm saying, I value your opinion. And actually, you're closer to your work than I am. And, I always think of this one example, that I wouldn't say that this person completely transformed how they worked, but it did mean that they didn't hate me, and they did do something.
That's achievement.
And then it changed, like, the way I did everything. So I'd always be saying to people, now it didn't work with everyone, but like, what do you think in this situation? And what's your evidence? Like, let's look at you as the expert. Let's understand your perspective, rather than me thinking I'm always right. And it takes off some of that cognitive load, because if we are always holding everything as a leader and manager, then it's really, really difficult to move forward. So yeah, I reckon it's a lazy leadership skill, in that you not only do you engage people more, so they listen to you more, but also you get their ideas. And when they own their own solutions, they're much more likely to do them. So they're going to be more accountable as well.
I remember hearing somewhere at some meeting, first try and understand, and then you'll be understood. Something like that, which makes perfect sense from what you've just said.
Yeah, I think these coaching skills are really valuable, and the things that we don't know exist. And actually, Lynn, when you joined, you got access to one of Ruth's coaching courses, didn't you? And
Yeah, I did.
those key
Yeah.
skills. And I think, what you offer, Ruth, is really valuable because you offer some short courses, which, are tools in our toolbox for every day, right? And then there's more fully fledged, like, oh my God, I love this and I want to be a professional coach, whether you're that as a leader or you're running a coaching business. So do you want to share a little bit, Ruth, about the different coaching, how we can upskill in coaching skills with you?
Of course. Yeah. So yeah, we offer kind of like online only courses, which give you that foundation of coaching skills. And there's still a little bit of support with them. And then we offer accredited diplomas. So in the coaching world, it's very much about kind of certification and accreditation and particular accreditation bodies. So there's one called the ICF, the International Coaching Federation, and that's who we're mainly affiliated with. So those diplomas, we have either people who want to be coaches or we have leaders. And actually what we're finding is more and more leaders are coming onto those courses. And this might be interesting for your listeners. More and more leaders, organizations are paying for them to be on these courses. And I remember I first heard about coaching in the 1990s when I was doing a degree in management studies and psychology. And I heard about coaching as a leadership style. So this is like 1999 or something. It's obviously, it's about 3 years ago, I think. I dread to think how many years ago it was. 1999. And there was all this research I presented, like leaders who have got coaching skills are more effective. And now in 2025, most leadership roles, so they want coaching skills. But a Harvard Business Review found that actually most leaders and managers think they're great coaches. However, when they looked at their skills, very few of them were, because they were it's still really hard not to tell. So it's like creating that space where you don't tell, where you do actually genuinely get people to give you their opinion is that real skill in coaching. And so that's why I think people come onto our diplomas as leaders too.
Right. And how can they find out more, Ruth?
So it's Optimus Coach Academy. So it's just optimuscoachacademy.com. And you'll see we always have our newest taster sessions on there. Or you can book a call with one of the team after you've had a look there or downloaded the brochure.
Fabulous. Thank you. And I think, as is reflected before, having some of these skills just in our toolbox, for a home life and for work, it's a no-brainer, really. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, ever since I did my coaching courses when I was 26, and all those tools I will use every day to coach myself. But I think, going back to refreshing and updating, just being mindful of them always being there and making sure we're using them with people. We might not always do that because we can be emotionally engaged with it. So I think being part of a coaching community, and you offer like ongoing coaching development, don't you, Ruth, as well? Just always keeping it front of mind, I think is really important as a leader. So really insightful today. Thank you for sharing some of that and our different reflections. I think it always helps. I think we get training as part of this, Lynn and Kelly, don't we? Well, we're going to show up tomorrow and be like, right, what do we do differently?
Yeah, definitely. I'd love it.
Really good reflective. I think it's just a reflective moment for all of us, isn't it? Of what we can do and what we can take away. And yeah, really, really appreciate that. So thank you, Ruth. Hopefully some people will get really excited about learning coaching off the back of this call and will reach out to you. And thank you, Kelly and Lynn, for hosting today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you for joining us.